All right, Joseph, thank you so much, dude. All right, so here we go. So, there was some map questions here, right? So I'm going to show some things, but then if there's any contracting companies out here watching and you want me to run a scan on your area, right? And all you got to do is drop your company name. I'll find the map URL and we will do, you can hear me, right, Jennifer?
Yep, you're good.
All right. So you drop your company name, I'll research it, I'll get the map URL, and then I just need your top service, right? So if you have, if it's plumbing and you want plumber near me or emergency plumbing, or if it's AC and you want AC repair near me, whatever, then I'll pull it up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. All right, where are we at here?
All right, I got it just to you. So when you share that screen, you're going to light it up so everybody can see it.
All right, so let's go. I'll put my whole window up here so y'all can see the 9,000 tabs that I have open. Sorry, it's how my brain works. Okay, so we can see it?
Yep.
Okay, so this here is a heat map scan, and I encourage each and every one of you to do this. I will drop a link or a form or something here at the end for a way that you can submit some information, and we'll run one of these for you for free if you'd like to see it. You just need, there's multiple ways that we can scan this, but ideally this comes from Google Maps, so we need to get your map ID. And the keyword here, so this is a client of ours out in California, and then this is for AC repair near me. So you see the colors on here. We want it as green as we possibly can. Now we've ran this on the largest level. This is the 13 by 13 grid. So this is covering a very vast area. And then I will show, we'll pull up another one here. This is another air conditioned client of ours out in California. And again, this is spread out even more. We put a mile between each of these little nodes. You want this green, right? Because Google Maps is called the 3-pack as well, because the top 3 are the only things that shows up, and you have to see more businesses, whatever it says. And then they'll have a 20. There's a ranking of 20 there that it will show. But, just like no one goes to page 2 of Google, no one's going to go, in my opinion, past number 3, because there you can see the business name, you can see the stars, the review ratings that they have. So it's become very popular, right? There's 4 pieces of real estate currently today on any Google search. You have your, now depending on which industry it is, but let's talk about home service industry. You have LSA, also called Google Guaranteed. That comes up at the top now. It's 3 or 4 years old. It was really put into place by Google to try to compete with Angie's List and Home Advisor. Then you have your traditional PPC of Google, which is Google AdWords. Then you have Google Maps, the 3-pack, and then you have organic SEO. But when you do a Google search, Google Maps pops up there. It's big, and it covers the largest piece of real estate on that page. And it's got colors, and it's got stars, and it's got things. So it's super important. And when we see our clients that have a top 2 or 3 ranking on SEO, but they're in the 3-pack of Google Maps, we're seeing 60, 70, 80% of the leads coming from Google Maps compared to organic SEO. And that's why one of the listeners here said, when Google changed to Maps, it killed them, right? Because if you didn't have the right strategy in place and you lost all those rankings, it would hurt. But I will tell you, the ones that are winning, they're winning from Google Maps. So you want to put into place whatever strategy that you possibly can to make sure you light this thing up. Now, this here, if I scroll over here a little bit, this scan doesn't even cover, anything past this, 15, 20 mile square radius here. Well, this client also goes over here to Mateca or whatever it's called. So they also service over here. Now, I haven't ran this to see what they are in those areas, but what I just had a conversation with this client the other day and said, listen, we need another address. And he was like, I said, because if we want to keep expanding from here, we have to sync up multiple GMB locations and start creating a multi-unit strategy so we can expand further and further and further. And I'm telling you guys, if you're out there listening, figure out this strategy, reach out to someone that knows how. We'll be more than happy to talk to you through it, but you need to start looking at other pieces of real estate. I will tell you, Google is shutting down these shady multi-locations. So they'll let you use your home or a home address, but only on the first location. You try to go today, in today's day, and I'm not saying there's not people that have it that way right now, but eventually they will get shut down because they're getting shut down every single day by the thousands. So if you own an air conditioning company and then you've got 7 rental homes and you've got all of those linked up as GMBs in different cities, they will get shut down eventually. Yes. But if you are in a WeWork location or a Regis or whatever they're called, those multi-unit office locations are not going to work for your second and third and fourth locations. They want you to get a real office. They say that there has to be a full-time person working out of that office. And what we're seeing now, pretty much in the last 6 months, every single one of our clients that have we're registered a second location for, they're making us do video verification. And it's strict, right? Like you got to start from the parking lot, walk with the video, show signage of some, it can be on the door. The door has to have the address, the zip code and all the information of the business. Then you've got to walk inside the business and you've got to show the video as well. So they want to see some kind of like license or certification or something up on the wall. But I'm telling you, think about it. Like depending on where you are, it's going to matter on the population and things like that. But if you,
almost like you want to see like a certificate of occupancy that like you've actually had it like looked at by the city to be like, they're certified for occupancy here.
Well, because you and I've got clients that are spending anywhere between $800 to about $2,000, so they're finding little small offices, right? And they're putting some equipment in there, maybe that it just makes it an easier choke point for one of their guys, because now they have their main office and now they've got these satellite offices. So it could still be a place where you could have equipment and your guys don't have to go as far to one of the supply houses or whatever. But think about if this client here, their office is in Salida. All right. Well, they do a lot of work in Modesto. Luckily for us, they just bought out a church in Modesto that they are like turning into a huge warehouse and a new office location. Well, I told him like, well, can we get it certified and verified now? And he was like, well, I agreed to let them extend their time in the church for right now while we're getting, some things ready on the other side of the building. And I was like, however, can we go ahead and get it verified? Because if we can get it verified, I'm like telling the client, I'm like, if we were to light the map up in Modesto, like it could be worth $1 million. 200 to 2 million. Like it could be worth so much money and revenue, and it's organic, right? Like it's lighting it up, because if you come in that 3-pack for AC repair, AC replacement, emergency AC repair near me, and you can light this whole map up green. Like this is AC repair near me. But if we could do the same thing down here, what would it be worth to his business? A lot. So if it did cost $2,000, let's say it costs you $2,000 a month to go get a satellite office. That's $24,000 for the year. The marketing company charges you, $1,000 a month or whatever to manage and optimize that location. I'm just throwing numbers out there. Right. So you're $36,000 all in. That could at least bring you $500,000, $1 million in new revenue. That return on investment is going to knock down and beat any Facebook ad, campaign, Google ad campaign, YouTube, whatever. So if you got to think about it, you need to talk to someone that knows how to do this, right? Because there is a strategy here to be able to take the different quadrants. So if I come down here and I look and I go to averages, when I click on averages, this software we have will actually tell us who's ranking in that area. What are the other competitors doing? How many reviews do they have? And then if you see here, he's got Northwest, Northeast, Southwest, Southeast. Those are the different quadrants. And that's how we need to kind of look at how hard is it going to be over here? Maybe that's where the satellite office needs to be. We don't necessarily need to put one 5 locations, one at each of these corners. But it's going to depend. Like if this was Los Angeles, you bet your ass you would need to have any chance to be able to rank on this whole thing if we were sitting in the center of LA or something, because it's so competitive and there's so, the population is so big.
Yeah. God, that blows my mind. Yeah. It's funny because you said Modesto and I was like, wait a minute, that sounds so familiar. That's actually like 45 minutes from where I grew up. I actually grew up in California.
Oh, really?
In Atwater, which I was like, that sounds really familiar. It's actually 45 minutes from where I grew up. So I was like, that's home.
Yeah, they're killing it.
This is so cool though. All of this technology is awesome. And so many businesses have no clue about what you're talking about right now.
No. They don't.
Yeah. And guys, listen, for me.
So before you jump out, you jump out and go get another business or another location.
Oh, yeah.
Set up a time with Jonathan, because that's going to tell you your best place to go look for an office. Otherwise, you're wasting money. You're wasting your time. And maybe you don't even need to do that. He's going to be able to tell you, hey, I should or shouldn't.
Or you can't.
He's going to point you in the right direction. I don't want anybody fear jumping or fear mongering of like, oh my God.
Don't go grab 5 freaking offices today.
Don't do that. Meet with a professional who's able to give you guidance. And that's honestly what Jonathan is and his team. They're going to give you the exact prescription of what you need to do, what you need to follow in order to meet your goals. And when you meet with him, don't just go, I want to be busy. What does that mean? You need to be specific about, and that's where we talked about.
You need to have everything in line.
Yeah.
What your goals are.
What
your plan is, your budget.
Yep.
What your strategy currently is, what you're going through in your season of your business.
Yeah.
You need to have all of these things figured out before you're ready to go ahead and dive into a really deep conversation of growth.
Yeah. So do a little bit of research for yourself of like where you want to go, where do you want your, are you like, hey, I'm almost at 1 million and I want to be 2. Great. So come up with a game plan that's going to reach your thing, like reach your goals. Like it's so important to know ahead of time. Otherwise you're just going to go in there and be like, hey, I want to be busy. And how many clients do you have that just are like, I want to be busy? And you're like, what does that mean?
All of them. Right. And it's like, and this leads me into, I'm trying to pull up an example here. I need to get some fake numbers. I don't want to show any of the client stuff, but I want to kind of show, not to brag about us or anything, but I want to show like, this is the level at which you should be looking and tracking everything, inside of your business, because not only do you need to know that as your business, you should know your numbers, but at the same time, it's the only way that you're going to feel comfortable opening up your checkbook and spending the money that you need to hit the goals that you have in place. One thing I know, I've been doing this now, what is it? 15, about to be 9 years. And the one thing that I hear every single time, if I was, to still do sales calls and talk to them, it was like, hey, what'd you do in revenue last year? They tell me a number. What do you want to do in the next 12 months? They always tell me a number, but it always goes something like this. They almost could be in a rap video. It's like, I did 2.2, I want to do 3.2. I did 4.5, I want to do 6.5. They have this perfectly round number. Rarely, and luckily the ones that I do get to hear that know their numbers, I enjoy those conversations because they're like, no, we need to do X. We're going to go an X percentage in increased revenue. And the reason why is because in order to do that, we need to hire 4 new technicians.
You know exactly what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Install crews. And Jonathan, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to hire those people, I got to train those people. A lot of money get invested here. I got to hit this goal. That's that's what would cause me to not sleep at night, knowing that they're telling me I got to go and hire 8 new people to be able to hit this revenue goal. But if I don't hit it, I'm laying people off come September, October, right? And that affects me. So the one thing I wanted to show here, the last thing I'll show, and y'all can ask any questions. I'm going to share my screen one more time, and boom, I had to erase some names and stuff. So can everybody see this?
They should. Let me check on my side and see what it looks like. Where'd it go?
I'm going to make it full screen so it's larger.
Okay.
All right.
We're good? All right.
Yeah.
So this is the level at which we go to market now. I want to know what your average ticket is, what your average install is for service and replacement, your overhead expenses, your direct job cost number, which is your finance, your materials, your labor, your subcontractors if you're using them. I want to know what last year's revenue and the next 12 months you want to do. And when we plug it into here, like we're going to be able to figure out based off of your numbers. And then we're going to ask you, like, we're going to look through your historical data last year. I want to know like each month, because, you know, California to New York to Miami to Alaska, we got clients in Alaska, like one in Miami, they don't know what a heater is. And in Alaska, they don't know what air conditioning is. So different strategies, different ratios at which they're converting service call leads into an installation. So I need to know, like, you know, different times of the year, how many installs did you do last year? And I want to try to figure out what is that tech flip ratio between a service call into an install. These are never going to be perfect, but we need to have some kind of forecasted number, because I then want to be able to say, okay, your SEO looks like it's decent. We feel like we're going to be able to go up this many points in SEO and blah, blah, blah. So I can then put a strategy to say, all right, watch this. If I set this to 250, because 250 is what I incentivize my paid ads team. All right. So paid ads can be Facebook, Google, YouTube, TikTok. My paid ads team, I am incentivizing them to get a new customer, not a lead, not a conversion, but a new customer for our clients for $250. That's what they're going to get a bonus for. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to hit it every time. It may be 300 or 350 on a certain campaign. You know, it's just, you know, demand has to be there. Mother Nature has to be working out. A lot of things go into it. But 250, if I had to get every one of these 300 leads for 250, I'm telling this contractor he's got to spend $75,000 to do it. So you see here how important organic SEO and Google Maps are to drive down that lead cost or that ad spend cost.
Yes.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you need the customers, you got to get them from somewhere. They're not just going to come walking into your business and go, oh,
that's right.
You do air conditioning, plumbing service, or electrical service, I need you. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
So you need to be there when they're searching. You got to come up. Well, in order to do that, Google wants you to pay them.
Yeah.
So now if I set this to 125 and you go, well, we're going to, you know, get half of our leads and things through Google Maps and organic SEO. Well, now it drives this number way down, right? So the better your SEO gets, the stronger your brand gets, the less ad spend you're spending. Because one, you're getting a bunch of your leads from organic. Then the other side, the paid ads you are doing, they're going to convert better.
Yeah.
Because people are going to know and recognize and trust your name already because they've seen it over and over and over and over. So what we like to do is, and then the other thing, guys, the other page of this is once you become a client of ours, now we're going to keep up with and go, okay, well, how many book calls, you know, here's how many we said we needed. How many did you actually get? Here's how many installs we were shooting for, projecting for. How many did you actually get? And revenue. Like, I want to know my clients' revenue, because if they get too far off track, I don't want them firing people, laying people off, but I also don't want to get too far away from, you know, the goal, because then if we get out of busy season, we're in the shoulder season, demand's gone. So like, where are we going to get?
So you're very much one-on-one with these clients on what their actual conversion rates are, and how often are you having these conversations? Weekly, monthly?
At least once a month, but I prefer the clients to do every 2 weeks. Okay. But here's the thing. We take it a step further. We listen, and I encourage all businesses out there. We listen to every single phone call that comes in, because if you just take a conversion from Google or anywhere, a conversion is a phone call or a form fill. It's someone that took action. But you know how many ads that we put out there, and like Yelp and these other businesses are calling the number, because you know what they know when they see it? Oh, well, this business is advertising. So they call that number on there. It's a tracking number, and then they're trying to sell their services. Well, your marketing company is going to go, that's a conversion. That was a lead. Well, it wasn't. And for us, if we're getting this specific of trying to figure out what is it going to actually take, how many booked calls do we need to hit your goal, then we have to get deeper. And we listen to every call. I've got an entire call listening team. Listen to your calls, guys. Listen to them and determine how many of them were junk, and you're going to get junk calls. It's going to happen. You're going to get abandoned calls. You're going to get, spam calls. But how many of them converted into a customer? And then you actually should take it one step further and go, how much revenue came from that customer, right? So now you've got a return on investment, but you also have something called a return on ad spend. So if I'm spending $5,000 on Facebook, how much money do you need to make in return on ad spend to make that profitable? It can't be $5,001 unless it's $5,001 you made in profit, right? So you can't spend $5,000 and make go and sell a $5,000 job and go, all right, well, I broke even at least. No, because how much margin did you have in that? What was your profit?
God, I feel like that explains so much at the past company that I was at.
Yeah.
And
I mean, so there are things out there like What Converts, right?
Yep.
That track what you're talking about.
It's
that
a
will
phone
actually
call system,
transcribe the entire conversation for you, so you don't even have to listen to it. You can read it if you want to. Or you can read and listen, so you can catch all your friction points even internally.
Right. Here's also too what I'm gonna say is a lot of people, and I witnessed this being in the trades, is the owner is so far removed from booking the call that they're like that, and what the actual person who's doing the phone answering, they're so far removed from that, and they're like, well, they're just sitting around, they're not answering the phone. I don't know what to do I don't know what to give them to do. That was a lot of the time, was like the person answering the phone was given busy tasks because the owner felt like they weren't getting the money from them and they weren't, making their revenue per se.
Right.
And it's like, that's what your person answering the phone does, is they go back and they listen to the phone calls, because
that's where everything starts.
That's where everything starts. So have them go back and listen.
A good training tip is let them listen to the coworkers' calls.
Yes.
Right? Because now you're training, and you can and let them critique or let them write notes. Maybe not to that person, but to the owner, and say, the way that Sally handled this call seems like we could have closed it, and we could have, this could have been a book job instead. Now they're going to call us later or something, right?
And so often that happens, but all that person doing that's listening has to just coach the other person that's taking the call into converting that in a different form. It's not that they did necessarily answer that phone call incorrectly or didn't close it properly. But, well, it is they didn't close it properly, but they didn't use the right terminology because they're not educated enough to make that conversion.
Everybody who's answering the phone should have dedicated time to go in and listen how other people are answering the phones. If you've got the right staff with the right mindset, and I talk about mindset all the time. If you've got the right staff with the right mindset, they're going to be willing to go, oh, I like the way she said that. Oh, I like the way the homeowner responded to that. You'd be surprised on what you can learn when you can hear both sides of the conversation, which, I mean, funny point is like, that's why it's like, if you're going to have an argument in public on the phone, at least put it on speakerphone so I can hear both sides. Like, that's what I'm getting at though, is it's like, you don't need to give your office staff busy work. You need to give them the right work. And the right work is going back and listening to the phone calls and tracking, and then going in like, okay, I need to actually, from last week, I need to go in, or even 2 days ago, I need to tweak this. I need to go in and look and see what that converted number is and put in the data and have a place to put that data in if you're not using an automatic tracker of some sort.
That's right. You're right. 100% right. And we train our team to listen to the calls, but we've now trained them how to pick up on little things that, like, for instance, CSR is giving quotes over the phone. Like, we know that traditionally, and so whether she did something or he or she did something wrong, we've trained for it, and then they have to download an MP3 file, send it to the account manager. The account manager will make the determination. Do they feel like that's a no-no based off of what we know the client does or doesn't do? And we send it over to the owner and say, hey, just want to let you know, yesterday this call came in and Sally Jean was blasting out $15,000 furnace quotes on a call to someone. So you've got to be checking everything everywhere.
Yeah, and one of the other things that we ran into quite a bit just with like the phone was like, they didn't feel, and this goes down back to the training aspect of it, was the lady answering the phone was, I don't know, let me go ask the owner. And so they'd put the
customer
on hold and then be like,
and then you lose a customer because you put them on hold.
Right. Or they're going to ask the owner, like, well, what would we charge? They want to know a price, or they're not going to book with us. You don't
even have that conversation.
Yeah.
It's call to action, book them.
Yes.
Your job as a CSR is take the call, schedule the call.
Yeah.
That's right.
Let the technicians handle the rest.
Right. We're talking training, and a lot of companies do training, but we should also be training on our digital marketing.
Yes.
And so our CSR should be training, and we're going to spend money to bring trainers in or get some coaching. Great. Right. Or even it's internal. One girl listens to the other girl's calls, and we do some training, but you should be training on your digital marketing. And a lot of people, don't have inside, marketing companies. And I don't really strongly suggest it to anyone, not because I own a marketing company, but because I hear it all the time. Like, oh, I hired a girl that's got a master's degree in marketing, and I don't care. Like you can't have one person that knows how to write content, knows how to do backlinks, knows how to do digital, Google ads, YouTube ads, TikTok ads. Like, we have individual teams, because I don't want my Facebook ad specialist attempting to learn how to do TikTok. No. I want to find people that are really good at TikTok, and they do our TikTok ads.
And that just goes back to hire people for what they're good at doing. If you're an electrician, be an electrician. You don't need to be doing Google ads or marketing or anything else. If you're good at marketing, you don't need to be doing electrical work. You don't need to be doing HVAC work. You need to hire the right people for the right task.
Yeah. So here's what I'll leave everyone with.
I have a question in regards to the Google My phone numbers. There are so many different companies, and every company wants you to use a different phone number. They want you to have a different phone number on your postcards, different phone number. Like, how does Google look at that? Because there was a time with Google where it's like Google didn't want your business to have multiple phone numbers anywhere. How is Google looking at that now?
So so we're talking about directory submissions having the same consistent phone number, right? So Yelp or something like that. Now, Yelp and GMB, or your Google Business Profile, if you go into the settings of GMB, there is a place for you to add a tracking number. So what they do is they will have a place that says your primary number. They want you to have your main office number. And then what they'll do is they will let it revert over to the other number. It'll give you the data and analytics of how many people came, but that's keeping the NAP consistent. But what they don't want is you to have a different number on BBB and a different number on Around Me. These are all local directory submissions. Google is using local directory submissions to help them find local businesses for local searches. But a postcard or a billboard or something along those lines, the numbers can be different, right? Like, you still have to track your sources. But on local directory submissions, the big ones, Yelp, Google Business Profile, they have a place for you to put a tracking number, and Google will recognize it and give you the data. Okay,
fair enough. Awesome. So what are you going to leave us with today?
I wanted to leave everybody with is, one thing, if you're like, well, like Jason was saying, like, don't go out and get a bunch of locations, and don't go out and like ripping things apart because your business is slow right now, and fire your marketing company or whatever, unless you're going to come to us. I'm just kidding. But what I'll say is, ask some questions. And one of the questions I would ask is, can you send me and show me my keywords that we're going after, right? Look at those keywords, and then have a hard talk with them and say, what I'd like to do. And if you have access to your Google Search Console, well, then you can actually go see those keywords and how much traffic went to those keywords last month or yesterday or whatever. So if you're looking at keywords that don't have traffic, understand that's why your phones aren't ringing.
So can I pause for a second? So if you have, as a business owner, if you have the access to that, will it also show your DA score?
Your DA score, you're going to have to go to a DA checker.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was the other link that we posted.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes. And there's many out there. Just put in domain authority checker, and there'll be some out there. We use Ahrefs. It seems to be the most consistent and most used. And that Ahrefs ranks on a 0 to 100. So if your DA is a 2, understand that is like as F minus as we can get, right? But in some
trade related, like what is really the real expectation of what that score should be? Because obviously we know Facebook, all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter,
100.
they're all going to be at 100, right? So the expectation for trade related services is not going to be anywhere near 100. So nobody should be trying to reach the 100, right? But they need to be in the, between 1 and 10, somewhere in there, or 1 and 5.
You have to be close. It's about your competitors, right? So that's where the research is so important, because there's times where, like right now, I'm looking at a report that we ran for one of our clients, and then we took some of their competitors. So my client was an 11 DA. New client of ours, they're coming in. I think they came in as a 6, and we've been able to get them to 11. Our strategy we have is we feel that we can move the DA score 5 points every 6 weeks, right? I mean, it's not a quick overnight strategy. So unfortunately, if you're in a market where your DA is super low and your competitors are super high when you're running these tests, that's where, look, people have used the terminology SEO takes time, and it's frustrating. People don't want to hear that shit anymore. And I'm telling you, our strategy, when we put that keyword research together, we've also got the approximation of how many months we think it's going to take, but it's based off of a science. It's like, well, here's who's ranking for this content, and here's the average competitor DA that's ranking for that content. Here's your DA. The first thing we got to do is go after these lower searched or lower competitive keywords that have a lower average DA ranking for it now. And while we're doing that, we're going to be creating a backlinking strategy to get your DA score up. So when I'm looking at the clients here, it's at 11. The competitors are an 8, 11, a 7. All right. So those, we're tied with those, but then there's a 28 in the market and a 64. The 64 is a 1 hour heat and air. Well, 1 hour heat and air has got their websites connected and linked with every 1 hour heat and air around the country. So that's why that DA is a 64. But the other one in the market is a 28. So what I have to tell my client is, you're an 11. Any keywords that the 28 is currently ranking first position for, it doesn't matter how much content we write, buddy. We're not going to outrank that website until we get to a 28 or higher. And so that's the strategy. And unfortunately, people don't understand this. They don't know what they're looking for, supposed to be looking for. And,
they really don't understand the entire conversation about it yet. And because there's so much changing daily.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I want to encourage everybody to figure out what their score is, start looking into everything that they need to look at as far as their business goes, and then start reaching to the right people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw someone ask, what's a good number? The good number is what your competitors are, because you got to see who's ranking in the first few spots, and that's where you want to be.
Yeah.
So if those people have a high DA, it doesn't matter. You can write 1,000 blogs next week and 1,000 service pages. It's not going to outrank them. It used to give you a better chance to be able to compete, because it was how much content could you put out. But now Google has all the content they need, and they know that ChatGPT-4 has, more content that it could write than all of us could think about. So they don't want you to write more content. They want you to be able to put something out that's better than the content that's already ranking. And so that's where you got to look at, first off, DA score matters. And then if you get your DA to the same as that company's that's ranking, then you got to go and do research to go, what do they have out there that's ranking now? And they go, okay, well, they have an article that's got 1,400 words on it. It's got a couple images. So we at least now know that, we're going to start with 1,500 or 1,600 words. We got to get more words on the page, but now we've got to get better images. We got to geotag those right. The titles need to hopefully be better than what they have. And then there's software we use. One's called Surfer SEO. That's what we use to grade our content. So now what we do is we go and grade, and this costs us money every time we're running these scans. We're grading what the competitor's content is, and then we're going to go write a piece of content that grades better. Because otherwise it's like, well, how do we tell Google that this is better? And it's by a grading system. So we don't put out anything that's an 80 or below on a grading system to begin with, unless if there's someone that's got an 87, then our writers have to keep writing and doing stuff to get it over an 87, because there's no point in publishing something that someone else is ranking for that's not going to outbeat it. Then what you're doing is what I was doing, which was selling content, right? When Joseph asked that question, are you selling content? I mean, because then you're just putting shit out that to check boxes.
Right. So if you are like me, for instance, where I've got,
Amazing.
I've got a lot of,
I'm not sure how to be amazing, but.
So thank you for that. But if you, like, for instance, for me, I know I've got a lot of authority in the trade space. Where would someone like me start to start putting my articles and my content for people to grab, to be able to backlink or to be an author for an article for something that they could put on their website? What is your advice for me to be able to play in this market and to be considered an authoritative writer for this space?
Well, it starts with, like Joseph was saying, make the article be written and you're the author of it, put it on your blog, on your website, then take that blog and post that blog on your social media profiles, put that blog on your Google business profile. And another, thing that we've started doing and we're seeing a lot of traction with is, because we're taking that specific piece of content and putting it out using RSS feed to blast it out on social media and GMB, you can boost it. So if you were to spend, just $5 on Facebook to boost that blog that you put out, and you start getting clicks on it and engagement with it, it lights up social signals. It's going to make such a bigger SEO impact. So that's where I would start, is getting high quality content, starting with who are some of your competitors, what kind of content do they have out there? And then who does Jennifer Clements what does she need to write to put out something that's going to be more informative, more engaging in Google's eyes? Because Google's like, look, if your article is going to get more eyeballs than this one that's out here written on the same topic, because there's already something written. No one's going to go write something today that's not already written somewhere on the World Wide Web. So you just Google wants something that's going to be better, because better means that they'll get more users to their platform and people will stay on their platform longer instead of going to another search engine.
And that brings another question up. How important is bounce rate now?
I mean, it's super important, because Google wants to make sure that what you're putting out there is actually people are sticking on it. Right. So it's like, that's another thing, like with Facebook. We mentioned this yesterday. I was talking to y'all that Zuckerberg has put out that if you start putting content on your business Facebook page that doesn't get engagement, it is going to start having a negative impact on your Facebook profile. Why is that? Because they want people to stop putting out garbage that people are going to bounce from, because and we think, well, that's silly. People are on Facebook, they're looking at people's family and kids and what they ate for dinner. Like, no, when you start looking at billions of users, they want to make sure the content that's being published is getting people's attention and they're sticking there, right? So it's no different than if you post an article or you have a landing page. Let's talk about Google AdWords, and you have a landing page. If you have the bounce rate is extremely high because people are going to it and then they're going to another competitor, it's like, why? Why did they do that? There's something wrong with that landing page that's making people not want to stay on it. But if somebody is actually going to turn into a real customer, this is where it's important for marketing, then you've got to figure out what's making them leave or what's making them stay. And that's where we talk about authentic imagery. Put your family, your dogs, your cats, your kids, because that's the stuff that makes it, a relationship driven, that makes an impact. Right. So people want to see that stuff.
Yeah, they do. And for me, I like to put out stuff that's a 5-step thing. It's know, like, trust, follow, phone call. You've got to build that know, the like, the trust, and then they start to follow you, and then they make that phone call.
That's why we like to create funnels, like when we're talking about social media and stuff, because you think about HVAC and where we are. We're in Dallas, right? Yeah. If I was to go turn an ad on for a client right now and go financing as low as $99 a month, there's thousands of those ads out there in the DFW market right now. So what's going to make your ad stick out and be more impactful, right? So that's where you got to create a funnel. You got to stop trying to offer everything out the gate, and you got to tell a story and gain trust, right? Like make a connection with those people. So we like to put video content out there that just tells the story of who that company is, right? And then the next layer is, like give value, right? So give them tips on why you should do regular maintenance on your system, why you should change your filter out each month, and don't have an offer on it. If they want to click on it and go to your company and call you, great. But don't try to sell all the time. But that's called branding, right?
Yes,
so essentially you're putting out ads that aren't going to bring you instant return. That's branding. And it's hard for some people to be able to swallow that they're spending thousands of dollars on something that they're not getting an instant return for. But guys, at the end of the day, you're going to have to pick your poison, because you're either going to spend money now, someone advertising, someone branding, and let it work together, or you're always going to be paying for new customers. Always. Because if you don't strengthen your brand, right, because there's different things on Google Analytics, and one of them is called direct search. And so you need to look at that. And I will tell you that some people, if you were to go look at your Google Analytics, you're going to see all of your traffic coming from direct search. And it's going to be probably a low number, but that means you're not getting any new customers from your marketing company. That means that they're all coming because they know you and they're typing in www.abcengineer.com. But what you want is you want to be a big, huge company and you're getting a ton of direct search, because now you're not paying for all those new customers. They know your brand, they know your jingle or whatever it is. So when they have a problem, their toilet's overflowing or their air condition shuts down, they're not going to Google and going AC repair near me. They're going www. I know exactly who I want to use because I like them, I know them, I trust them. That's what you want.
So, and to this, and I want to give this little piece, and you can tell me if I was right or wrong in this in my last marketing campaign that I used. So part of the training that we were doing was 223s. Basically, we left, it was a sticky note and it had a QR code on it. And that QR code went directly to our website to book an appointment. It was no phone number listed. It was, if you want to book with us, go to our website. And so all of these sticky notes, we did 2 to the left, 2 to the right, and 3 in the front of whatever home we were servicing. And so those were driving traffic to our website from the homes that we were already searching. What do you think about that?
I like it.
Okay.
I mean, the getting a bunch of traffic that's not turning into conversions, like isn't like helping you per se. But at the end of the day, you're reminding that customer of the next time that they need you, or they could take one of those sticky notes, and when they're at the ball field or something and their friend goes, I'm having some issues, like, oh, I don't have the sticky note with me, but I got these little sticky notes and I'll just walk it over to your house tomorrow and I'll hand it to you. Yeah, you've got to think of that's branding. Like what you did was branding. You came up with some cute idea of a sticky note that had your brand name on it and a website or URL on it. And that is good. You have to do branding.
Yeah. And I didn't necessarily want a phone call. It was like, I wanted the customer to essentially become our office person and schedule their own appointment. Like that's what I was looking for in that. But I never really, until our conversation today, realized what I was doing for the web component of that, of like the escalation of the website, because it was, scanning that QR code took them to the website. And so like I never thought about that part of it.
Well, and here's the thing I want to tell people. And a lot of people, they're, it's 2023. People are getting smarter, and unfortunately they're getting smarter because they're going broke and out of business. And they're like, I got to learn marketing. I got to pay more attention to it. But, they would say, well, we're sponsoring the Little League team and I'm sponsoring this soccer team. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Give it to your local community, but don't expect a return on investment from that.
No.
That is branding. If you've got your sign out in the left field of the high school football team, it's branding. Is it going to help you in the long run? Yeah, it's like a billboard. Like no one's driving down the freeway, and no matter how your billboard, you're not going, holy shit, honey, grab my phone and write that number down while I'm doing 75 past the billboard. No, it's just so your brain it's another touch point. And I'll tell you, there was a Harvard study that came out a year or two ago that talks about, because of digital marketing, the touch points used to be like 6 to 8 or something, 6 to 9. That number is now like 17 or 18.
Wow.
And, go find that article. And here's the reason why. Like, you look around and you see you've got kids, and it's like they're watching these 5-second videos, flip, 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 flip. So in order for you to get your brand across to someone, that 6 times doesn't cut it anymore. You got to hit them all over. Here's the word, omnipresent. You have to be all over. You better be on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, retargeting and hitting these people from all angles, because the attention span is not there anymore. You've got to do more to make an impact. than you ever had to in the history of businesses.
So dive further into that, like we were talking last night.
If he
so
has time.
You can, there's also a point that we can, as business owners, we can post too much content or not the correct content to the tune of, just putting stuff out there and then not getting likes or shares or views. That also plays a factor in hurting your brand, correct?
So all right. So here's the way Facebook is. Let's talk about Facebook real quick before they went public. So before Facebook went public, you had a business page. So we're talking like 2009, 10, 11 in that era. You could, whatever you posted got seen by however many likes or followers you had on your business page. Like they just opened it up to everyone. Well, then what they did was when they went public, the only way Facebook makes money is from advertisers. So then they had to change the algorithm, and build what was called an algorithm to say, okay, now if you've got 5,000 likes or followers on your business page, we're only going to let a couple of those see it. But guess what? You can boost it and you can run a paid ad if you want, and we'll let you target the audience you want to hit. And we'll tell you approximately how many people we're going to show it to if you pay us. That's the only way they make money. All right. And they've got, investors and everything else. So people didn't understand that. And they're like, well, I don't get any business from Facebook anymore. And it's like, so the algorithm used to be, I'm not sure what it really is now, is that for every like you got, it was like 5 additional people they would show it to. For every comment you got, it was 10 people. And for every share you got, it could be 75 to 100 people they're open to.
Right.
All right. So then we used to train our clients to say, look, if you're going to allow your team to have their cell phones at work, you need to tell them the new policy is. If you're going to catch them being on their Facebook throughout the day or Instagram or TikTok, you better tell them they better be going to the company assets and liking and sharing whatever was put out for that day, because it's going to open it up to more people. It's going to open it up to their friends and family and the other person's friends and family. So there's ways to get around it. But I will tell you what Zuckerberg said, that if you're posting content and it's not getting engagement, they are going to make it take a negative. Now, a negative impact is they're not going to like send you a bill or kick you off Facebook. No. What they're going to do is they're going to slow the algorithm down, and no one's going to ever see any of your posts anymore. So then it's like you're paying a company or you're paying a girl inside your office to post content that's not making zero impact or any return for you. So you're just wasting money somewhere.
You are. Yeah, absolutely. So someone asked, hire a social media manager that knows what they're doing to post. There's also a certain time frame in which you should make these posts about your content, and there's a science to that in itself. There's the time where you're doing school drop off or you're doing school pickup. Everybody's sitting on their phones at certain peak hours of the day, whether it's those times or right before dinner, right after dinner, laying in bed at night. There are certain times, it's a sign that there's just a science to it.
Yeah.
So make sure you're doing your content posting at the right times. And if you're not, hire it out. Hire the people that you need to do the things that you need done properly.
Yep. 100%.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for coming on today. I can't wait to have you back on, and I just can't wait to see this explode. And
I can't wait either. And I want to come down because I'm not too far from you. I want to come to the studio, and I want to sit there like Garth Brooks, like I'm live in the G, right?
Can you pick the guitar?
Yeah.
I don't know how to play the guitar, but I think if I wore
put a cowboy hat on and hold it and look like it.
Yeah. And we're just like music in the background.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on it. So thank you guys. I hope y'all have an amazing week, and I would love to come back.
Absolutely. Hang tight while we end this so we can grab all the audio. But thank you guys for tuning in. You've got all of the emails. Drop a comment in here if you guys need contacts for anybody. And thank you so much for tuning in.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
See y'all.